Okay. Here, so I was asking, everyone is clear what is correlation?
Rishiji,
Ah,
hello.
yes, yes.
Rishiji,
Ah,
so basically, so in the correlation part with two different features here, right?
mm-hmm,
So when we say correlation is not good, whether it's a negative trend or a positive trend, Rishiji, so
uh-huh,
that is bit confusing in the map actually. Suppose if we see point 1 to some are in negative terms, right?
uh,
So does it
okay.
mean that negative means that both are not correlated, which is
Yes.
something
Okay.
like that?
Okay. What happens? Um, Suppose your height and your experience. Okay. Now your experience. Okay. Some other example where there's a stark difference. So suppose your height and your salary. Okay, so just consider for positive terms only. If correlation is 0.1, positive just tell you that if one feature is going in one direction means it is increasing, the other one is also increasing. They are going into same direction. If the number is positive, okay. Now the what you say uh, value of that positive number will tell you how closely they are moving. So if it is 1 means number is 1, it is the highest number, which means they are moving side by side. If one is increasing by 10%, other value is also increasing by 10%. Okay. Now if the positive term is very small like zero point 0.1, which means that okay, one feature is increasing, other one is also increasing. Just a minute, someone pinged on the. Okay, fine. So for point one, positive, small positive number, it means that if one feature is increasing, other one is also increasing, but the magnitude is very less compared to the first feature. Okay, if one is decreasing, other one is also decreasing. Okay, but the magnitude is very small compared to the other feature. So positive number will tell you how much it is going side by side, whether it is increasing or decreasing, that doesn't matter. If it is negative, it means that when one feature is increasing, other one is decreasing. It is going into the opposite direction. If this is clear, that positive, negative, and the magnitude of the number.
Yes, Rishiji.
So,
Yes.
Rishiji, in nutshell, can we say it's a just like presenting y equal to mx plus c kind of relation? If x is increasing, then y also increasing. X is decreasing, then y is also. So, if we have such kind of relations, then we can call it correlated values.
Actually, y and x I don't want to say because generally y, when you, I mean, if you take that example, it may confuse you because y is your dependent variable, right? So, in terms of graph, okay, I will show you in terms of graph. Don't think x or y here. You just understand x1 is one feature and x2 is second feature. Okay. Now, if I
Okay.
draw this line like this, okay, where slope is 1. Okay. So, if x1 is increasing by 10 or 10%, I will say, it is also increasing by 10%. Okay. Don't take in literal terms. Okay. So, this is side by side. Exactly, it is moving in one direction. But if correlation is positive but very small, you may say, okay, line will be either this or line will be either this, depending. It can be this or it can be this. Means if x2 is increasing by just 10%, x1 is almost getting double, you can say that 100%, like this. Or if x1 is increasing by 10%, x2 is getting almost 100% double. If this is clear, right? This is what Vivek was telling, right?
Yes, Rishiji.
Uh-huh.
This is what I'm taking.
Yeah, so this is when it is moving in the same direction. But suppose if both the feature are moving into opposite direction, what will happen? When x1 is increasing, x2 is decreasing, right? Here, when you go from here to here, x1 is increasing, right? But in terms of x2, when you see this value of x2 is decreasing here. Oh, no, no, no. Correct, correct. Here, x1, right? When we are going this side, x2 is decreasing, right? So this is negative correlation between two feature, and this one is positive, and this one is a negative correlation. Clear?
Right. But Rishiji, in this case also, this y equal to mx plus c can also be applicable. M may be the negative value here. So
Yes, it's
that
very.
can also be.
Yes, very much. I'm just saying that avoid y equal to mx plus c. You may think, okay,
Yes.
y was our dependent variable, x was our independent variable. So sometimes that create confusion. That's why I write x1 and x2. You are comparing only independent features among themselves only. You are not touching the dependent variable. Okay.
G.
So this heat map. Okay, so yellow one says it is highly correlated. So now you see you are having here this one is skin and then thickness. Okay, so it is saying skin value and thickness value is increasing side by side. So diagonal one we are not concerned because that is the same feature. It compares same thing within itself. Like one feature is getting compared to itself. That's why we are having diagonal. So we have to ignore the diagonal. Then we are having two clashes. One is here and one is here. Everyone agrees to this that we are having two clashes. Okay, my question may not be clear to you. So what happened? On x and y axis, same features are mapped. Okay, so if skin is correlated to your thickness, then thickness will be also correlated to skin, right? Right?
Yes, Rishiji. Yeah.
So it means that you are just concerned about one side of the diagonal, whether you take this side, or you take this side. Just take on one side, right? So here skin and thickness, these are correlated. We can remove any one of them. So our purpose will be served. Okay. I hope this is clear. I will move to next topic.
Yes, Rishiji.
Okay.
Understand.
Data molding. Okay. So data molding is encoding. Inspect data types to see if there are any issues. Okay. And data should be numeric. If required, create new columns. So data molding is nothing but changing the format or encoding the data. Like if the data is in numbers, I mean text. Okay, change into some number. That is called as data molding. Okay. So here in our example, what is there in the text which needs to be converted to number? If anyone remember when I showed you the data. Anyone? Where we need to apply the data molding. We were having the values in the text format and we need to convert text into number.
True or false?
Yes, correct. Correct. So diabetic, that column was having value in true and false. So it needs to be converted to 0 and 1. That is called as data mold. You will see that. Okay. Now, next pre-processing technique is splitting the data. Okay. Now, variance is the amount that the estimate of the target sum will change given different training data. We'll come to variance later on. Okay. So, I will explain the splitting later on once we go to machine learning. Okay. Why we split the data? First, understand this. You have been given this data. Okay. Suppose 1,000 reading you have been given. Now, why you need to split the data? So, what happens when you build your machine learning model? You need to test it as well, whether that is working good or bad. Okay. So for that, what you do, you are having 1,000 reading. So what you do, you split around 70 or 30 or 80 or 20. Okay. So in that percentage term, so you take 70% and try to train your model. Once your model is trained, then you apply that trained model on the test data, means rest of the 30% to see how much accurate you are. Okay, so we'll see both of these two with the help of coding. Okay, I need to type. Okay, someone got dropped off. Okay, so now diabetes map. We need to first do the encoding, convert the text into number. Okay, if you go up, you can see here diabetes column is in true and false. Okay, so this you need to convert. So first we'll create a map and we'll create a dictionary here. True is 1 and false is 0. We'll create a diabetic map and df diabetes df dot map, and you give here then we'll print the value. Okay, so execute this. So what happened? Your diabetic column converted to 1 and 0. Now you can see easily, okay, either I'm getting 1 or 0, it's a classification problem. Okay. Any question on this? Any question? Okay. Now we'll split the data. What happened? Suppose we are having only these 10 readings. Suppose just for example, okay, we take 70% till here into training data and rest of the thing into testing data. Okay, so when you train the model with these values, okay, 70% you will get a logic or mathematical formula. Okay, once you get the logic, you take this test data. Now in test data, don't we dependent variable, we keep it separately. Okay, based on our logic from the training data, will apply that logic on this test data, only input. Okay, so we got the logic, we apply the input. Okay, and then we get an output. So now one is we already know the result in the test. Okay, and one is your predicted value. So here, yeah, here suppose I get 0, 1, 0. Okay, this is your predicted value in testing. Okay, but actual value was 0, 1, 0, right? 0, 1, 1, which means that in testing data, 2 readings I got correctly, I predicted correctly, but 1 reading I predicted incorrect. So you can say my accuracy is 66.66%. This is what happens in machine learning when we apply the model in train and test and we take the accuracy. Is this is clear? This is very important actually to understand what is training, what is test, what we do in test data, what is predicted value, what is the actual value. So actual value and predicted value, everyone is clear?
Yeah, so Rishiji, on what basis you have taken only last 3 rows considered as a testing data? You may take more also, right? Half of means on what basis?
Correct, correct. So what happens when you are having less data? Okay, it is not suggested to take half. Okay, so what happens? Generally, the range comes around 70, 40, 60, 40, like that. Half of data we never takes because for training you always need more data. If you don't train properly, you will not get a good testing result. But suppose your data set is very large, means number of rows you are having in millions. Okay, so there you can do what to say 50-50 as well because you are having sufficient data to train. The target here is we should have sufficient data to train. Okay.
Yeah, so Rishiji,
Huh.
is there any mechanism we can make sure, okay, our testing data is sufficient, it is test our model properly?
No, this you need to run it and then you will come to know.
Okay.
It's, yeah, it depends on the problem and the readings also. It's nothing like that. For any problem, I should have minimum 1,000 rows. Then my model will come correct. It depends on the readings. What kind of reading actually you are having. So suppose, for example, I will give one example. Hmm. This is diabetic, the last column, and this is one axon. Now remember one thing more. Okay, number of feature here is 9 plus 1 is dependent variable. Mean this is almost like a 10 dimension problem. When I show you in graph, okay, x and y axis, one is your independent and one is dependent. Means it is 2D. I cannot show you in graph this 10D readings. Okay, so suppose I just take one reading. Okay, and the data is like this. Okay, this is a classification problem. So this can be easily classified like this. So one blue is suppose is negative and this is positive. Hey, what was the question? What I was trying to explain?
You were trying to explain like, okay, how much amount of testing is required.
Correct. Correct. So here the data is clear. Okay, so it depends on the data actually. If uh, you mean that between feature and this dependent, the boundary is very clear cut. Okay, so there maybe less training data will also work, but when you are having very jumbled up like this, it is totally very confusion little bit. Then it need more and more data for training actually. So that you will come to know once you try different problem, then you will come to know, okay, sometimes in less data also I'm getting very good result. And sometimes even more data is not able to give me the correct result. Okay. Some rule comes I will show you what is the less training data, your parameter, that's what I was telling, variance I will explain. Less training data, your parameter estimates have greater variance. Okay. Less testing data, your performance statistics will have greater variance. So what happens if training data is less? Your training will not be good. Okay. So because your training is not good, the variance in the estimate will be greatly what you differ, which means that the and if training is less, like I showed you in the example, I was having only 3 testing data. So even if one is wrong, your performance will drop a grade. You, if you got it right, what I trying to say? Testing is having only 3 reading. Even one reading is wrong, your accuracy will drop very sharply. But if testing data is more like 100 reading in that, if 10 is wrong but 90 are correct, so there you will get greater accuracy. You need to strike a balance between these two. And sometimes you need to run your model 2-3 times also, multiple times to see what is the optimum level also.
So Rishaji, this parameter estimates, can you just explain once more, please?
Your Rishi, is it underfitting? Then not enough. Yes, we'll come to underfitting and overfitting in later state. At this point, you will become bit confused. You will get confused. Okay. Any question? We'll revisit this problem of underfitting and overfitting. That explains what happens when you are having less training data or less testing data. That will explain later. Okay. Now, okay. Rishi, can you explain again parameter estimate? What is that parameter estimate? Which one you are saying? Okay. Parameter estimate is your dependent variable prediction. Okay. You are estimating the parameter, means you are predicting the uh, dependent variable. Like here, diabetic is yes or no. That is your parameter estimate. So if training is less, your result will vary greatly because you have not trained properly. Okay. If testing data is less, your performance will vary greatly. So that is the difference. Okay. Missing value. Okay. Just a minute. Missing data. So what happens if some data is missing? So one way is to drop the row. Okay. If you are having, suppose in our case, there was no data was missing. Okay. But what happens if suppose out of 800, in 10 rows, your data is missing. Okay. So there are two ways. Either you can drop the row or you replace the values with some other value, like you can take mean. Okay. So I will again maybe go by example. I think I will not type that much. It is taking time. This I am just copying directly. Okay. This data splitting. So what I am doing here, I have imported the library called sklearn.model selection train and test split. This library, what to say, split the data. Okay. So here I just took all the feature column names separately and predicted class name, that is diabetes, separately. First, I splitted the data into this X and Y. X is nothing but your feature and Y is your predictable variable, like your dependent variable. Okay. So X is your all the feature, Y is your diabetic, yes or no. Now split size 30.3 means your training size will be 70 and test size will be 30. So this is the format in which you write. Uh, I'm using this train and split this library and first variable, first argument. Okay, this is your feature, which is X. It's having the list of all the features. Y is your value which you need to predict. Okay. Test size I have declared 0.3, means testing size will be 30% and training will be 70. Now random state, this you need to understand what it means. What happens if you run this model multiple times? Okay, definitely split will happen randomly. Okay, sometimes one reading, suppose first reading may go to training set, second time it may go to testing set also. So to avoid, we want every time whenever I do the splitting to be same, we mention random state. Any integer number you mention here, it will split same way every time. So in that way, our data will not differ, the end result will not differ. Otherwise it creates problem for us to understand. That is the reason we mention the random state. Okay, and just we are checking here in these two lines by printing that whether splitting is correct or not. That's why it is 70 and 30%. Okay, now we'll come to impute. Okay, so here library is from sklearn dot impute import simple imputer. Okay, till 0 equal to, now if you see our data, values are not missing, but we have many zero values. Okay, here thickness somewhere is 35. I mean, you can see the numbers. Okay, but there is zero, so it definitely thickness zero is not possible. Means either number is missing or zero values. So we want to take care of both. In our case, we are not having null, but we are having zero values. Okay, so what we'll do? Simple imputer missing values. Okay, this is one of the argument, and our missing value is 0. Means I'm considering 0 is missing value. Sometimes you will get nan, nan means not a number. Okay, so it is like a, there's nothing at that place also. So at that time you need to mention this as nan. Okay, so depending on the case you need to do strategy. Now here little bit sometimes domain knowledge comes into picture. So if you have domain knowledge, you will see, okay, thickness, maximum time people have this thickness as 30 value. If you know by your experience, okay, some doctor is there, he will say, okay, you can put 30 because 0, we cannot mention 0, you can mention 30. That is the optimum value. Okay, or if you don't know like that, so you can use something like mean, mode, those kind of values. Also, you can do this. Fill the values. Okay. This is clear to everyone. Why we do imputing? What is mean? This is clear.
Yes, Rishiji.
To everyone, it is clear.
So Rishiji, this is only treating missing values.
Yes, correct.
Not dropping the rows or anything.
No,
So
no, no.
whichever is null, we are giving any mean or some values we are giving assumption like.
Yes, correct. So what happens? Okay, one thing I missed to show you. Okay, I will copy from here only. This
So
first
mean is here keyword, right?
mean is I will tell you. See, I will show. I forgot to show you one thing.
Mean,
See,
median, those
mode,
things.
median,
Yeah.
mode, those kind of things are there. First, see this. How many zero values are having? Okay, so total number is 768. Rows missing glucose. So some feature like here in this row, only one feature is zero, insulin. Some row maybe two or three feature may be zero. So like that, I have printed this. See this rows missing thickness. So thickness is zero in 227 rows. Insulin is zero in 374 rows. So what will happen? If you try to drop the rows for zero values, you will find almost 90% of your data will be deleted. Okay, so dropping rows may not be a good idea. So that's why we go for imputing. Imputing this means you are filling the value with some other appropriate value. This is clear?
So what is this appropriate value here,
Yes.
Rishiji?
Yeah, mean. I am taking mean, average of all the values in that column. So thickness,
Okay.
whatever all the values, I will sum up, okay, which are not zero, okay, and then divide to take the average of it.
Right. So what are the other options we have here
I
apart
think
from mean?
I will see simple computer. What was the value strategy? I will show you how to check the document also. See this missing number. Okay. np.nan also we use nan, and then strategy, right? Where is strategy? Strategy.
Up, I think, right?
Strategy, mean, median, most frequent, constant, right? You are having these are various options. Constant means if by your experience you know that what will be the like what is the optimum number, you put you have put that number everywhere, so that is constant.
Okay.
Most frequent, median, and mean. So it depends which one you want to use.
Depends on use case.
Yes, use case, correct. Some kind of, that's why sometimes people ask and that whatever data I'm collecting, should we know, I mean, should we have the domain knowledge? So domain knowledge is always a plus point. Otherwise, sometimes you may delete important data. Okay, considering that okay, it doesn't look important. So that's why we need domain knowledge. Okay. Now execute this, and it will just do this split. Oh, this is not a good way to print. That's why spider is good. Anyway, so this is how imputing happens. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Data standardization. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Now feature scaling, data standardization also called as feature scaling. Okay. So I gave you example, right? That if you are having one feature like salary, okay, other feature is experience. Though there is a vast difference in the scale. Okay, one feature scale is just in 2 digits from 0 to 40 or 50. Other one is having scale of lakhs or crores. Okay, so for standardization, what you do, you reduce that to standardization means you are reducing the range, mapping everything in the range of -1 to 1. Okay, so that is called as data standardization. And for that, this is the formula. It is performed during data pre-processing to handle highly varying magnitudes or values or units. Okay, because what happens, some machine learning algorithm, they think that the feature which is having high value, it is of high importance. So especially for those algorithms, you need to apply this data standardization. Okay, this is also called as feature scaling. And sometimes you may hear the word normalization also. Normalization, when you do, the range comes between 0 to 1. Okay, and in case of standardization, it comes from -1 to 1. So in fact, it comes, I think, that a graph bell curve when you create, there you can see how much it's deviating and other things you can do. That is data standardization from -1 to 1. Okay. Any question on this?
So, Rishiji, any example for this feature scaling?
I will give you. I will show you the code.
Yeah.
Yeah. One example is that same thing, right? Your experience is just in 2 digit, but your salary is in lakh, crore, thousand. You see, one number is very small, other feature is very big. What happened? Machine learning algorithm thinks the bigger number is having more importance. However, all features are same, right? In their own terms, all are independent. So that's why you bring everything to standardize. Means you are just standardizing every value. All the values should be in the range of -1 to 1. Okay.
Okay.
So okay, I will just restart. I'm just restarting the session. Please rejoin. Okay. Please rejoin. I'm just stopping the session.